Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now getting closer to the middle point of August of 2023, and given that Disney and the Disney Board of Directors are going through a lot of problems right now, specifically surrounding Snow White 2024 as they head into further damage control, figuring out how in the world they're really going to be able to promote this thing, especially at D23 and after, around the holiday season, leading up to its release date by March of 2024. Now, if you guys want to ask me, if you want my 2 cents, I believe that this movie's going to get delayed, much like how The Marvels has a great chance of getting delayed, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But what's all the more concerning here has a lot to do with the star of the film, Rachel Zegler, who portrays Snow White. Let's get into it. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into the subject, shall we? Now, one thing about Rachel Zegler that I have pointed out several times is that she is basically the new Brie Larson / Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I mean, she has entered the girl boss club, if you want to call it that, right? She has said the most ridiculous things about Snow White, about how she views women, about how she views the Snow White tale from 1937, and even before 37 in the German tale. She's touched on that too, and she herself has even admitted that she actually does not like the original Snow White movie. We'll talk about that in a second too. But it gets a lot worse than that. This is where things get out of control crazy to the point where it really makes you wonder, how in the world does Disney think that they're going to get away with this movie and make a lot of money? Is beyond me. So let's get into this now. So with actress Rachel Zegler endlessly promoting Snow White as Disney heads into damage control, one major update has much to do with what Rachel Zegler recently delivered to the world about this film. She stated the following. Well, in the 1937 original, there was this love story, you know, which was quite good because, well, it has given us the ability to do something different from the source material. In that one, it was about a guy that stalked her and was obsessed with her. So we are not doing that in this one. Andrew Burnap, he is a great dude. But hey, maybe all of his scenes get cut, you know? Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. Haha. But this film didn't need to focus on the earlier days of females and their spirits. This film is about empowering the modern female and the woman model of today that we needed to showcase in the story. She doesn't need to be saved by the prince, nor does she have to engage in any kind of romance, which I think fits women today, you know? We don't necessarily need a man to complete us or to inspire us or give us emotions and feelings. That's what rising up to be a leader is all about, and it's about doing everything on your own. This film is going to be a great entry to teach the lesson to everybody. Now, guys, let me pause here for 1 second before I get to the next piece that she talks about. Save your sons and daughters from watching this film, please. That's all I can really say right now. The fact that they are doing this to this extreme just goes to show you that it is 100% intentional to teach younger audiences how to think. There's no doubt about it at this point, and Rachel Zegler is making this openly clear. So she's saying that what she liked about the original 1937 movie is that it gave them the opportunity to do something brand new with this story, and how she views Prince Florian as a stalker, as a very creepy guy, if you will, in the original Snow White 1937 film, and how we're not doing it this time, we're not doing that. And she even kind of like joked around thinking like, oh, maybe Andrew Burnap's scenes get all cut. For those of you that don't know, Andrew Burnap plays this guy called Jonathan. Yes, he's just called Jonathan, not Prince Jonathan, just Jonathan. In the Snow White movie for 2024. There's a reason why he's just called Jonathan. And we've heard a lot of things from the plot leaks and all the other leaks that we've discussed over the past couple of, weeks, is that he is not apparently going to have that prince status in this movie, thematically speaking. So this is where things get even more intense, because Rachel Zegler, she has a lot of ego coming out of Fury of the Gods and West Side Story, both of which were box office failures, and to be quite honest, were just subpar films. I mean, look, I like Zachary Levi. I think he's great and all. He was entertaining in that film. But Fury of the Gods was a box office failure on their end, and it was exactly why they did not greenlight a third film. And a lot of that, by the way, had to do with the resetting of the DCU and stuff like that. We'll talk about that later. But moving onwards, she goes on to elaborate further. I couldn't be more proud of being attached to this role, and of course we are going to get a lot of haters, yeah, you think, on this movie, I feel. But you just have to ignore them. They are a minority anyway. They don't realize it's not 1937 anymore. There she goes again with this. This film needed to gravitate toward the modern female audience. Watching Snow White when I was a kid, here we go, was just scary to me, she says. I mean, you just have this guy lurking her and wanting to save her. I mean, I even tried to go on the Snow White ride when I was a kid called Scary Adventures. I'm like, yeah, never doing that again. We are already having discussions on expanding this story if it does well, and I am so thrilled about where it can all go since we aren't following any source material, so we can do whatever we want with this adventure. Okay, so one thing I want to say about this real quick, guys, is that this just goes to show you that, number one, she hates Snow White. Number two, she says that Prince Florian in the original film is a stalker, is a lurker, and is just flat out creepy. She even said this where she nodded her head in other interviews where she's like, awkward, creepy. I don't know about you, but the way that she talks, her overall attitude, it comes across, and I know she's only 22 years old, but she comes across like this high school kid attitude on camera and in all these interviews promoting Snow White and talking about her past projects for like Fury of Gods, West Side Story. It was the same exact thing, and this is no different, but it's really worse. The fact that they have somebody like Rachel Zegler on Disney's payroll, it's not all that surprising, coming out of what they have hired before in the past. Like Brie Larson and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, are we really all that surprised? I call them the trio, alright? You got Brie, Phoebe, and Rachel, and they really all are very similar in their own way, alright? Now, the thing about this film that I think is going to cause it to become a box office flop, not just because of what they did with the Seven Dwarfs, not just because of what they did with Snow White's appearance, but it's also very much rooted down to what they are doing and saying here. Really making it openly valid and clear to the younger audience, to the general public, that this movie is literally about teaching a new lesson to younger audiences. That's why I said before, guys, protect your sons and daughters from seeing this film at all costs. That's all I can really say, because it's really true. Kind of etches into their subconscious, and they begin thinking like that if they keep seeing these movies and these TV shows. That's why a lot of parents, over the years have been very careful about what their children watch. It's no different in this case. So, anyway, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.